Arsenal 1, Aston Villa 0 at the break. Ian Wright, Rachel Coursey here. Rachel, we wondered defensively how Villa would set up, whether they'd be able to counter Arsenal. I mean, clearly issues in that first half.
Well, they caused their own problems, as we'll come to. But that said, the 1-0 away from home, they're in the game. I think they've competed very well. I think defensively there's been a lot of good moments of defending the penalty area really well. They'll be really disappointed in the nature that they're behind naturally. I think in the second half what they want to try and do better is find that first initial pass out of pressure and try and do a little better to just work up the pitch, because it's really difficult in these types of games where the longer you spend in your own half defending, the more difficult it becomes to have the mindset of being like, how do we relieve some of this pressure?
Yeah,
and as you get more and more tired, it's hard.
How to relieve pressure is the story of the first goal, right?
Yeah, it is. I just can't understand them playing out like they're trying to play out. I think they need to get the ball up the pitch and playing that off and try to get their pace players going. But that was just a comedy of errors in respect of a goal to give away, Rachel.
Yeah, and I think just you see Rachel Maltby there just highlights their left-back position. In this moment, Villa are 8v5, if you include the goalkeeper, in their favour. The pass to go into Missy Bow puts her in a position where you're going right into the thick of the Arsenal players. Marion obviously gets a little touch and finishes it.
I can't understand why you will persist on trying to play like that. The left-back Maltby, that she's not even coming for the ball with energy. You know what I mean? You can always talk about the quality of the game in respect of the passing out, but the intensity of Villa, they should be tighter to Arsenal, much tighter. She's got to do more. She's got to do more than that. We can highlight the rest of it. The left back has got to do more to give her that space so she can get the ball there, and then they might be able to get up the line. But that, for me, it's just poor play.
I think, so, just to, she earlier, sorry, I'm batting it. She received the ball, not, you bear in mind, it's the first 10 minutes. She received the ball just moments before that, under pressure. And I know what it's difficult. And I think it's just, when you feel under pressure, so you do this thing where you go inside yourself, you start to go, I'm not sure I want it. And you actually, in the end, you put yourself under more pressure instead of just taking a few steps.
I'm doing that now because we've got to go to a break.
Sorry. Go.
Let's go to a break.
Good segue to the break. Yeah, very disappointing from an Arsenal point of view. Thought they were very poor. And I think that the West Ham and the London City Lionesses results have kind of like given people a full sense of security of where Arsenal are. I think they're very negative. A lot more balls should be passed forward. We should have so many more shots against a Villa side that came and were very, very open. They weren't intense. They weren't intensified against them. They weren't closing down. And I think that Arsenal got everything they deserved in this game. I'm really pleased for Villa because they made the substitutions that made an impact, whereas we actually didn't. I'm just disappointed to see how negative we are in games like this at home. And I think Villa done well to get themselves back in that.
Yeah, and that's where you've got to give more than equal credit to Villa in the way that they turned that.
Huge credit. Second half, they were the better team. You can't dispute that. I felt Arsenal took too many touches at times. Totally agree with Ian. They slowed the game down. It was almost like they were too comfortable with the position they were in. They didn't have enough intensity. And I know from playing against Arsenal, I've played in those games where they just come at you and at you. It's relentless. It feels terrible. They didn't make Villa feel like that in the second half at all. I thought Kirsty Hans made a difference. I think Lynn Wilms, for me, was excellent defensively, and then in terms of towards the end of the game going forward. Lucia Kendall, I think, for a young player, spoke about her before the game. I thought she was very disciplined. A great shift for someone so young against some really top players. That's a great sign for Villa, players like that. Other young players, we spoke about Rachel Maltby at the game. She conducted herself well. Great then to see Paula Thomas, of course, long injury, tough time for her. She's back in the pitch now too. So from a Villa perspective, huge positives. Difficult for them to obviously not have a game last week. Still waiting for that first win in 90 minutes, but this is a game now they can take the momentum forward and feel good without actually getting the result.
Yeah, picture paints 1,000 words. You can see what it means to Aston Villa. As Rachel says, no win yet, but they come back from behind against Arsenal to take the draw. First result of the WSL weekend then, that point shared at the Emirates. We've got 4 midday matches coming up for you tomorrow, including Brighton up against Everton, Liverpool, Manchester United our focus, and Manchester City take on London City before West Ham face Chelsea to round off the WSL weekend. Arsenal then miss the chance to go top of the WSL heading into those Sunday fixtures. A point behind Chelsea at the top. Aston Villa still in 10th. The Gunners then quiver, but they're not the only ones this winter. And Arsenal had plenty of chances after opening the scoring at the Emirates. A reminder, they were going for a record equalling 10 straight wins at home. The changes made by Villa, Lucy Parker comes on, and that all-important equalising goal. Ian Wright, Rachel Coursey here. I mean, Rachel, you'd have to say for that second half performance, that's what Villa deserved, just much more energy.
Absolutely.
I don't know why when I left them. I apologise.
I mean, I felt there was a lot more competitiveness in that. I felt Kirsty Hansen came on at half-time, just gave them a little more option on the left-hand side with the pace to just travel with the ball and take the team a little higher up. I felt that helped them to then get into areas where they could then create opportunities. I think they've, on the stats there, 33% possession, but in return, 13 attempts on goal. That's something Arsenal need to look at from a Villa perspective. That's very efficient, and in the end, led to them having the momentum to finish the game on the front foot and get themselves a point.
We spoke about like Maltby starting, and you did say about Kirsty Hansen should start there. You think from a Villa point of view, why wouldn't they start with a player that can come on and really go both ways really hard against an Arsenal side? And for me, they need too many touches on the ball, very negative backward passing. It's not enough energy in the Arsenal. She should have started with a team that would actually have a go at Arsenal, because I think that what I've seen, like I say, from West Ham and London City Lionesses, I think it's a full sense of security they're in, and I think that these games show them up for exactly where they are, because that's a poor performance in respect of a team that's going for to try and win the league. Right. Such a poor performance.
Yeah, the team did do well, and that two key words in there, energy and chaos, which is what they needed to break Arsenal down.
It was, and I think in the first half they probably didn't have as much of an impact in that sense in the game, and that's probably why in the first half they really struggled to get out of their own half, and that's now when Arsenal will be kicking themselves because they didn't use that dominance to create more clear-cut opportunities and score that second or third goal that would have made the game much more comfortable. I mean, there was one or two moments where Angelo had to make saves, but that's not an Arsenal team that I'm used to seeing at the Emirates. No. And I'm really pleased for Villa because they hung in. First half there was some tough moments, but they hung in and then they found a way to make an impact.
We're going to show the equalising goal in just a bit, but Arsenal and Villa making those changes at key times, and Arsenal bring on Lostovu Moy, take Caldente off. We wonder whether maybe should have gone off a bit earlier. They seem to go really negative to hang on to that 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah, yeah. At that stage, you would have thought that, okay, that's a pretty sensible substitution to make in the circumstances, because it's nearly finished. But I thought that someone like Caldente has played a lot of football to his point. Maybe 25 minutes earlier in the game, bring on a Karakuni cross onto the game. He wants to come on, and she needs games to get the ball forward with some energy, get some people running onto the ball, So in the end, again, you just look back at it and you think to yourself, yeah, it's just a poor result. It's a poor result, but a good result for Villa, because Arsenal didn't do nowhere near enough to finish them off in the first half when there were so many spaces and opportunities to do that. And that's what happens. You end up drawing a game that you should win.
A game they should have won then. Let's hear from the Arsenal boss, Renee Segers.
Renee, I imagine frustrated with the point. How did you feel about the overall performance, and why do you feel there was a drop in the second half?
Of course not happy with the results, very frustrating. They score in overtime, and when it's only 1-0, then they always feel like they're in the game and they only need one opportunity. So very, very, very frustrating, and we're not happy with it at all, so not good enough. I think we had some spells throughout the game that were positive, but we just didn't have the quality in the final third. We should have, with the chances we create or the spells that we have on their half, we need to score, because otherwise, like I just said, the opposition stays in the game, so we're very frustrated.
Yeah, in that final third, there were 19 shots from Arsenal. Why do you think that there was missing maybe this cutting edge today?
Yeah, so that's, of course, that's going to be part of the review. I believe in this team, I believe in the quality they have and the scoring ability that we have as a team. So we're going to review that, of course, as a team and we'll have to come back.
That second half, Villa were very aggressive on the ball, but you guys were dealing with it well. There were some good defensive moments. But why do you feel they were able to push more, create more chances, and finally get the goal?
Yeah, I think part of it is they keep believing the game because it's only 1-0, and they feel like they're stopping things that we try to do, and then they stayed high with players up top, and we're looking for counter-attacks, fast attacks, and then creating set pieces, and that's what they got out of the game today. So I think they got full reward of everything they wanted to create today.
Of course, it's just the start of the season, but do you think, thinking about the league title, this is the type of game that you just have to manage to grind out a win, maybe?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Do you think this is the most frustrating part of today?
Yeah, because even though we feel like we don't bring the same quality, we're not at our highest level today, and that's going to happen throughout the season, but then you still have to, that's what we need to do better, is to find those ways of winning, and but yeah, that second goal would have been so important for us.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
Before you all shout at the telly, don't make those comparisons with Chelsea. Well, Chelsea dropped 6 points all last season. Arsenal have already dropped 4. So that is why it's damaging to their title hopes.
And the thing is, because of what Chelsea's done and the way Chelsea have dominated this WSL, it's because of those games that they're able to finish out. Chelsea don't lose that game for a start. Chelsea don't draw that game. Chelsea win that game. And listening to Renee speaking about, she's trusting this team, and she's got to trust in that squad. There's players in that team on that bench, Kairakuni Cross, Pelova, coming on getting some minutes. They don't get enough minutes. She uses the same substitutes all the time. There's no difference in the game. There's no change in the way the game can, all of a sudden someone's going to come on and make it more quick and sharp for us because she uses the same players. So you've got players who are probably upset there now because they've drawn a game and they've got nowhere near the team. And, we're drawing games like that where we should be winning.
Particularly when you've got Manchester City next week as well. Like, that performance doesn't beat Manchester City either. And then if you're suddenly on the back foot, where do you go from there?
Yeah, the thing is with today, there was good things about the performance. Probably when you feel the energy at the end of the game, you're thinking, where was that Arsenal team? In the first half, there was lots of good moments. I felt their best moments come, though. Yes, there's times to have touched on the ball, but then there's those moments where you quickly, Mariona a few times, quickly punches one forward, combination in behind. That in the second half didn't happen, and we noticed it quite early, and we were saying, taking 4 or 5 touches, then it would happen again, and then it would happen again, and those are the moments, I think, as a coaching staff and the management, that's, if you're not going to make different changes, you have to get that information on, because the players will hear that. You can get that to the players. Say, less touches, move it quicker,
to make those
forward.
changes to win that game.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. Like I said, I mentioned Kairakuni Cross, Pelova, I'd like to see her play, even Nizwanga from the left back. These players are not getting to come on and make a difference in the game. Of course, in the first half, Rach, we saw it where we thought, they played nice touches and that. But then once that's gone, and then you get to the second half and it's not happening, make some changes. What's going to change the fabric of the game? Because yes, we had 19 shots, or was it 19 shots in the end? But I can't remember too many real saves that the goalkeeper had to make, real proper chances. And that's what needs to happen. I think there's not enough competition in the squad. People know they're playing in that team, and they know they're going to play for the whole 90. And so, they can just play how they're playing, amble along.
And it's not just 90 minutes, it's the second week in a row as well for Arsenal. Talks about setting up traps for Arsenal. They lulled them into it. They got the rewards in the end. But it's not just one defeat in 8 in the league for Aston Villa. The consistency Arsenal wanted, Villa is starting to build.
Yeah, and I think the league position doesn't probably reflect the good work that's being done there to build that solid foundation. I think, like we're seeing, the Chelsea game, it's always tough against Chelsea. It's very difficult to get in those games. You've played Brighton away. It's a difficult early game. Then they didn't play last weekend, obviously, because of the circumstances against Liverpool. And today, Arsenal away. So it's actually, they've had quite a tough introduction to this season. They've shown that they are, one of the things about them is they have the character and the competitiveness to compete and make it difficult. And I think that goes a long way in the WSL. The one thing they'll want to get, though, is that first 3 points, because you don't want to start looking at the table or start feeling like you're sort of chasing that first win, which once you get that feeling, that's a big moment to really push on. And I think naturally, I'm biased, but I have high expectations for Villa this season, and I want to see them do well and games like today, especially that second half, I just want them to use that to be the energy and momentum they can take forward.
Well, that'll get that from that equalising goal. If we have a little look at it again with Lucy Parker, that's the kind of moment you need in a season.
It is, and do you know what? She really attacks it. There's an element of fortune. I have a feeling it brushes somebody's arm. I think it might be Lucy's, but you've got to take that. You know, she comes at it, she's aggressive, far more aggressive than the 3-4 Arsenal players that are in there. Just see there's an arm of some sort. I think it comes off of this. Again, it's inconclusive, and you know, Lucy Parker's the first to react, and that you just need one moment in games like this, and they had that belief. You know, they pushed forward. It was late in the game. They had a free kick. Lindholm's great effort led to the corner, and that's the sort of belief that reflects, I think, the character about the group of players that are there just now, and that's going to serve them well.
You saw it towards the end of last season when they knew they weren't going to go down. Just shift, didn't it? And
yeah, 5 wins in a row to finish the season. That's what the group of players are capable of. I think today as well there was a lot of young players involved, which shows that Villa are going to be that team that they want to bring players through. They want to give players opportunity. They're going to develop them, put them in situations. We thought it was a brave decision to start with two really young players, Rachel Maltby and Lucia Kendall. Both acquitted themselves very well, contribute to the performance. And then I think now this season Villa do have depth where they can bring players on, depending on the circumstances, injuries, different people in
and looking
in
at the fixtures as well. The next couple they've got before that little break from the league as well. You can just see that they can build those results and get that first win potentially.
They've got to get after that. I think it's difficult to away from home. Again, back to London for Villa, but you got to find a way. Those next 2, if not 3 fixtures, you got to be looking at 6-7 points, I think, if you really want to be in a position at the end of the season where you're in the right half of the table.
You say back to London, they played midweek, Villa. They got home at 1 or 2 in the morning, whatever it was, from Spurs to Arsenal. Had that break midweek. Where do they go from here, Arsenal?
Well, I think they need to really have a good think about themselves and what they're doing and what they have to try and achieve this season. I think that the minimum for Arsenal is to be really challenging for the WSL title, and I think the way we've started the season, it's not been great. Like I say, you can take those kind of performances if you win the game, because you know you're gonna have to up your ante in respects of the results and making sure you put teams like Villa away, because again Villa should get a lot of momentum and confidence from that because they hung in there. They made good substitutions, whereas Arsenal they weren't quite as ruthless as they should have been, Caroline, and then in the end you can see them falling back into a negativity. Obviously, Lotta came on and they got their goal, but I think that it stems from Arsenal first half and how they're playing and how they should have really pushed it and pushed the ante, really up the ante on them and tried to see if they could get a couple of goals against Villa, then see if we can get some players on the bench to get some minutes, you know. So, again, you have to give Villa credit, but again, it's a sad one for Arsenal, that one for me.
You know what they need?
No, go on.
Rachel, of course, you got a couple of goals for Arsenal once, didn't you?
You're going to bring that.
No. Watch them back on the old YouTube. Those own goals were special. Rachel, as always, a delight. We'll see you soon. Mr. Ian Wright, too. Thank you for your company.